Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone XR and iPhone 8 Plus came out a few years ago, so let's go and see how they compare in 2022. Now, if you want to buy these iPhones or some other iPhones I'd recommend this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, you can see on the front quite a bit of a difference between these two devices. The iPhone 8 Plus on the front has a 5.5-inch IPS panel on the front, and it's actually a higher resolution than the iPhone XR, which is very interesting because the design is a little bit older. The panel itself is actually pretty decent, but the bezel around it, I'm just not really that big of a fan of. I've never been a fan of like massive bezels on these phones. I like Touch ID and I kind of like the home button sometimes, but I do prefer the gesture-based design, but I love Touch ID. On the front of the iPhone XR, on the other hand, we have a 6.1-inch IPS panel, and again, same type of technology, but this is a low resolution panel than this one. It's also not OLED, neither one of these are OLED, but you have somewhat of a newer design on the iPhone XR. There are still like thick bezels around it compared to phones nowadays, but you do have things like Face ID and the notch, which definitely this design looks better than the iPhone 8 Plus for sure. So if you're trying to get the better looking phone, and this is definitely it. Now in terms of thinness and thickness, the iPhone 8 Plus I think is a thinner phone than the iPhone XR, which is actually very interesting. I was expecting the iPhone 8 Plus to be a little bit thicker when I first got it a couple years ago, but it's actually a pretty thin phone compared to phones nowadays. On the back, we have glass backs on both, which still look very, very good. We have a single camera setup on the iPhone XR, dual camera setup on the iPhone 8 Plus, and definitely when it comes down to it, both these phones look very, very good still. I don't really have too many complaints. I mean, my 8 Plus is completely correct. They both have lightning ports at the bottom, IP certification on both, wireless charging on both as well. But personally, I'm a fan of both these phones. It's kind of interesting because this one has a dual camera setup, but it is a little bit of a more outdated design. So it's very interesting between both, but I would say that iPhone XR is probably the better looking one here. Now in terms of longevity, this is another interesting thing between them. With the iPhone 8 Plus, this phone did come out in 2017, so it is, a little bit of an older phone than the iPhone XR, but I've always kind of stated that the A11 Bionic and A12 Bionic chip devices are probably going to last around the same time. It's not a guarantee, I don't have any inside information. So with something like the iPhone 8 Plus, that's kind of what I see happening. The 8 Plus could last as long as this one. I could be totally wrong, but it's something that could happen. But the highest likelihood of a device lasting is with the iPhone XR. This device is going to outlast the iPhone 8 Plus realistically. There could be a chance where the XR is going to beat the 8 Plus. Again, we don't know for a fact, but I would say the XR is probably going to be the longer lasting one. At least on paper, it's going to last longer than any other iPhone before. This one came out in 2018. This one came out in 2017. So it's kind of like a quick way to put it down. So now let's go and do a speed comparison between them. The iPhone 8 Plus has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. The iPhone XR has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, there we go. Hopefully let me go and clear all the apps in the background, and I should have cleared them out already, so it's very weird I didn't clear them out, so give me one moment. Okay, as you can see, they are all cleared out, so let's get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And it did kind of look like the 8 Plus was a little bit faster there, both on the same version of software. Music, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 8 Plus was actually faster. The iPhone XR a little bit slower. Very interesting. Let's do mail, 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone XR was slightly faster there. App Store, 3, 2, 1. And kind of a mixture on both. I think the XR was faster overall, but the 8 Plus kind of looked like it was going to be faster. And that kind of covers it up, that one. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's do camera, 3, 2, 1. Kind of about the same thing too. Hopping out of this one. Let's do iTunes Store, which I don't even have. We can try podcasts or any other app for the most part. Stocks, 3, 2, 1. And the 8 Plus is actually really fast here. I'm actually pretty surprised how fast that phone is going. Clock, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing too. As always, we have a bunch of these third-party apps we can go and test out. Let's go ahead and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And it looks like the iPhone 8 Plus was faster, the iPhone XR a little bit slower. And again, there was that like downloading content thing that could be a little bit different on both, but they both kind of were in that situation. So it's very interesting that the 8 Plus again is the faster one there. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's do BOFA, which I do not have. Let's go ahead and do Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. And the 8 Plus again is the faster one. That's very crazy. Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. I think the 8 Plus again was faster. Let's do Netflix, 3, 2, 1. The 10R was actually faster there. Very interesting. Let's go and do thank you. 3, 2, 1. I'm surprised that the 8 Plus is actually doing this well compared to the 10R. I mean, even this one, I mean, look at this. Oh, they almost got into it at the same time, though. That was kind of interesting. I thought the 8 Plus was going to annihilate that one. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and do snake versus block. 3, 2, 1. I think the 10R was slightly faster there. It was very, very close. I don't know why that game crashed on there. That was very, very strange. Stack. 3, 2, 1. This has been a really weird comparison, to be honest. Very close. I don't know which one was actually faster there. It looks like both of them are glitching up though a little bit. I think the 8 Plus is glitching up a little bit more, but the 10R did crash that game, which was crazy. I was not expecting the 10R to crash that game. That's actually very crazy. Twitter. 3, 2, 1. I think the 10R was faster there. Let's go ahead and do Facebook. 3, 2, 1. And I don't really know what's going on with the 10R, to be honest. Typically, the 10R was usually a faster phone, to be honest, but now it's actually being beaten, I would say, for the most part, most of the time, by the iPhone 8 Plus. Very, very crazy. I was not expecting that. I think when it comes down to it, I think the iPhone 10R is still a good performing phone, but there's something about iOS 15 that just doesn't really sit too well with the iPhone 10R. So I'll keep you guys updated on what I find out, but that kind of covers it up here. Now let's go and do a camera comparison. So like I mentioned before, single 12 megapixel lens on the iPhone 10R, wide angle lens here. iPhone 8 Plus, two 12 megapixel lenses, a wide and a telephoto lens. Both can do 4K at 60 on the back, and both can do 1080p on the front. Now with the iPhone 8 Plus camera, I like the fact that we can zoom in a bunch into a photo, but we can't really zoom out. With the 10R, we can't really zoom in and out that much. I mean, we can with the standard wide lens, but I will tell you with something like the iPhone 8 Plus camera, this is still a decent camera for sure. You still have things like portrait mode. You have 4K at 60 on the back too, which is really nice. It would have been cooler had we had something like, an ultra wide sensor instead, but still, I like the addition of the telephoto lens, and it's more of a pro than a con. I would definitely say the iPhone 8 Plus's camera is probably overall better than the iPhone 10R, but there are still some advantages of the 10R. I did a comparison like many years ago, the 8 Plus and 10R, and I found that the 10R's camera was actually pretty good compared to the iPhone 8 Plus. Now with something like the iPhone 10R, like I mentioned, still a really good camera for the most part. Nothing to really hate on it too much. You can do 1080p at 60 on the front, so that's kind of an advantage with the iPhone 10R. So I think that's really cool. But I will still say the iPhone 8 Plus's camera is overall better, mostly because of that additional lens. But you still have things like portrait mode and all this other cool stuff too that you have on this phone. So I think when it comes down to it, the iPhone 10R's camera is very, very close, but I think the iPhone 8 Plus camera is probably the overall better one. Which brings us to the end of the video. And to be honest, I would probably still side with the iPhone 10R being the better camera, just being the better phone in general, sorry, not the better camera. But it is kind of weird and interesting how the iPhone 8 Plus performed today. I was expecting the iPhone 8 Plus to pretty much not be as good as the 10R, but the iPhone 8 Plus arguably was faster and more stable than the iPhone 10R today, which is actually very insane. I wouldn't expect a phone from older phone to perform better than the newer one by any means, which is so crazy. But you are getting things like the older design, which some people may not like, and I would say the camera quality may be better on the iPhone 10R, but you have more capability on the iPhone 8 Plus. So when it comes down to it, I would probably still side with the iPhone 10R just because I like this design a lot more, and maybe the stability thing, if I factory reset this iPhone, would be a little bit better. But I would probably side with the iPhone 10R being the better phone in general. But I think the 8 Plus actually surprised me today, and it's actually pretty insane how good of a phone that is still in 2022. If you have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.